This is where we'll start to see some examples of the PMax reporting paradigm shift in practice. You can use the campaign report similar to how you might use it for other campaign types. Plus, we have some new approaches for PMax specifically. A high-level campaign performance report might look like this, where we look at a selection of campaign metrics, segmented by date over the last 7 days. Our results consist of a Google Ads row for each Performance Max campaign for each day in the last 7 days. Here's an example of a JSON response from the REST API. We have a Google Ads row object, which contains an object for each component of the query: campaign, metrics, and segments. Note there are a couple of changes from our first query now that we've added in the segments.date field. One is that our results are broken up across multiple rows, one for each date. Another is that our results will exclude any rows for which the selected metrics are all 0. For example, suppose my campaign had no impressions, clicks, conversions, or cost for July 9th, 2024. Because all of the selected metrics are 0, this row won't be returned at all. Rows where any of the selected metrics are non-zero will be returned. Returning to our query, I've added a few fields. The conversions metrics you want to retrieve might depend on which bidding strategy you've decided to use. If you're using maximize conversions because you aren't tracking values and you care about all of your conversions equally, then the more relevant conversion metric is conversions. If instead you're using maximize conversion value and tracking values with your conversions, the more relevant metric is conversions value. Okay, that's Performance Max campaign metrics in general. What about Performance Max for online sales with a product feed? We can isolate PMax for retail campaign performance by adding an extra filter where the merchant ID on the shopping setting field of the campaign is not null, since we're required to set that field on PMax campaigns for retail. I could further narrow it down to a specific product feed label by adding another filter on shopping setting.feed label. For example, here I filtered the results to performance for all campaigns that target products on clearance. So we've seen campaign-level performance metrics, but what about more granular performance measurement? We also make performance metrics available at the asset group level, as you saw earlier. This is similar to looking at ad group level performance metrics, since the assets in an asset group are combined to create a subset of the ads that run for a given campaign. For retail goals, we could also look at performance at the product level by using one of our retail-specific reporting resources, Shopping Performance View, which maps to the Products tab in the Google Ads UI. Note that you need to add the product channel, product merchant ID, product feed label, and product language segments in order for each row to map to a single product in your Merchant Center feed, since all of these fields contribute to the product's unique key. If we wanted to take this idea a step further and look at how product performance varies across different asset groups, or which product categories are performing best in a given asset group, we could instead use the Asset Group Product Group View resource. With the Asset Group Product Group View resource, I can select information about my listing group filters, like product category or product item ID. If I have discrete product groupings across asset groups, you can imagine how I could leverage this to compare product or product category performance across asset groups. You might find, for instance, that some products or categories perform better in one asset group versus another. And in that sense, you can experiment with how different products perform with different groupings of assets. For example, let's say I have a pair of sunglasses and a skater dress that I've paired in 2 different asset groups so that I can leverage different creatives or reach unique audiences for each group. Perhaps when I query the Asset Group Product Group View resource, I find that my sunglasses actually have way more impressions in one asset group compared to another, but my skater dress has way fewer. This might tell me something about what sort of assets are drawing users to different products or categories of products. I want to move on to the next PMax reporting use case, but first I'll call your attention to something I think is pretty important when it comes to achieving success with PMax, which is that your asset group setup is hugely impactful not only for achieving your business goals, as my colleague Devin showed in his session on asset groups, but also for being able to report on your campaigns and iterate to improve your ads over time. It may be wise to think about what you want to achieve with reporting, what data you want to get out of your PMax campaigns, and work backwards from there as to what asset group setup you need to support that.